feel alive, let's hit the dance floor. Don't work too hard, might break a backbone. Return of the Mac, the king is back though. Corvette and cash, I never lack those. She saw the stone, you know how that go. Fatality, my diamonds that cold. Versace trunks, I hit my backstroke. Knock on the door, she at the back, bro. All I really take is a little taste. Island girl, blue eyes with a little bass. Here for the thrill, I don't need a chaser. Wanna vibe at the getaway. Shimmy, shimmy, yeah, I got the semi-four way. Don't step out the line like this a probate. You hit the line and try to locate. This for the time, got time for no day. One, too many, I'm going. Too crazy and I got bad ones and they ready. A good time, so now it's into it, we left that. Can't remember anything, but I know we got lit.
Ladies, gentlemen, and everyone in between, welcome back to the Electrek Garage. I'm your host, DeclanKav, and today I'm showing off my CT&T EZONE from 2010, an all-electric, basically golf cart Korean car. And not only that, this car is actually for sale. At the time of this video going up, you can go place a bid on this car on eBay Motors. The link will be in the description below. Now you guys might be asking yourself, Declan, why would you sell such an amazing, beautiful, little practical, not at all garbage car? Let me explain that to you if you would shut up for 2 seconds. I'm a full-time college student. I'm a film major here in Los Angeles. I know, big surprise. LA devotee is a film major. Shut up. Don't judge me. I do what I want. Anyway, this car has an issue, and I don't have time to fix that issue. I have plenty of other car projects to work on at the moment, and this is not one that I wanted to be a project car. I brought this car in perfect working order, or so I thought. No fault to the previous owner, I unfortunately did buy it broken. He had no idea that the car was broken, it was not his fault at all. But nonetheless, the car has a problem, which I will get into right now. To explain the problem, we have to look under the front hood, and there's really not much here. The motor is in the back of the car, along with the controller, inverter, and all the other parts and little bits of this car. Under the hood, we mainly have some relays, some fuses, and the brakes. The brakes are where the issue is. Now, it's not a big issue, and the car still drives perfectly fine without this issue being fixed. The brake booster for the power brakes is bad, and that is awful because this car has a little over 400 miles on it. Not 400,000, 400, 400. The brake booster on this car has gone bad after only 400 miles. I cannot explain how awful this car must have been designed for it to break that quickly. Sure, it's a 12-year-old car, but it's been sitting around for most of its life. There's no reason that brake booster should be bad, but it is. The problem with it is, when the brake booster goes bad, the car knows it, and so it limits your top speed to 20 miles per hour, which is not the worst thing. This car has a top speed of 35 when it's working properly, but honestly, I never drive it faster than 20 because it is absolutely terrifying. 20 miles per hour is not that bad, and the car is light enough that you don't need the power brakes. In fact, the power brakes were actually an upgrade. They were an option. Now that brings me to talking about this car a little bit more in depth. This car was made by CT&T in Korea, and at the time of this car's making in 2010, CT&T claimed to be the largest manufacturer of electric cars in Korea. Now, I have no way of saying if that's true or not, but that's what they said. CT&T wanted to break into the American market, hoping that there was a market for electric cars. Unfortunately, when your car is little more than a glorified golf cart, it's not going to sell too well. Luckily, this was the top-of-the-line model that they sold in the US, the EZONE CITY2. This thing got special features like power brakes, actual doors, a lithium battery pack, the option to upgrade for a climate control system, and a top speed of 35 miles per hour. So, even though it's little more than a glorified golf cart, they sold cars that were infinitely more golf carts than this golf cart. Here, I have some pictures of them. Look at them. Look at these things. These are golf carts, and this is little more than one of those. But, nonetheless, it is a street legal, not only that, highway legal vehicle here in California. Yes, this car, despite having a top speed of 35 miles per hour, can legally go on the highway. I don't know who decided that was a good idea, and I myself am not brave enough to test that. Although the previous owner told me that he did do this, and it was absolutely terrifying. I imagine I won't do it. So yes, this is a golf cart that is not only street legal, but also highway legal. Someone needs to look into this, actually. That's a really bad idea. In the back, you have a fair amount of room for keeping groceries or whatever the heck else you would use this car for. But under the floor, we can get access to the motor and reduction gear drive. This is an AC motor made by Prestolite in Asia. It is a 7 kilowatt hour, 48 volt motor. It is very weak and makes hilarious sounds when driving, but at the end of the day, it gets the job done. Here in the back of the car, we have a power tailgate, which is fancy, I guess. You got a good amount of storage back here, actually, to put your groceries or, I mean, maybe a small body. I don't know. I don't think you can fit, I mean, I've never tested this. This was not planned. This was poor decision. I'm not going to get in there because I am going to get stuck and there is nobody else out here with me. You could probably fit a grown man in there if you wanted to. It does also have a cargo net, but it doesn't work because it was definitely an afterthought and they were just screwed directly into the plastic and they stripped. Again, this is a car with 400 miles on it. It's not doing too well for that. Now let's move into the interior. It's a two-seater, as you'd probably expect, with these nice, honestly not too bad seats. They're actually pretty comfortable, and they have the CT&T logo engraved onto them, which I think is a nice touch. And they're also this burnt orange and black kind of color, dual tone interior, quite nice. Although what's weird is the orange doesn't carry over to the steering wheel. Actually, the steering wheel matches the paint on the outside, and it is red. A red, shiny, and fake leather steering wheel. Doesn't feel too bad, but it is very small, but you do have your CT&T logo right here in the middle. Up here, you just have your gear selector. You have a speedometer that goes up to a 40, which is very optimistic, and you have a charge meter. Below that, you have two air vents, which I will get to in a second. Then you have your switch to switch between drive and reverse, and a button to turn on your hazards. You then have an AM/FM radio with a CD player in it, which was aftermarket. This did not come basic with the car. Instead, they have this little block that fits in there, so if you want to put a radio, you can. Underneath that, we have the climate control options, which again, I will get back to, and then you have power windows and a 12 volt power outlet underneath here. Below that, you have two cup holders and a little place for coins. Not too bad, not too great. It's basic car stuff. Now, you would think because this car has air vents and climate control knobs that it has climate control. You'd be wrong. This car has no climate control whatsoever. Behind these vents is nothing. I can look directly into these vents and see the wiring of the car. These knobs are not hooked up to anything. They are not plugged in. The climate control in this car is for show only. There is no climate control besides rolling down your power windows, which is weird that they're powered, honestly. But no, this car has no climate control, even if it looks like it does. Now, despite being a very small interior, it's actually not too uncomfortable. The seating position is nice, and the seats nicely hug your body. Honestly, they put a lot of thought into the interior. As long as you don't touch anything up here, which is extremely, extremely cheap plastic. This is the cheapest plastic I've ever felt in my life. And I've touched a lot of cheap plastic. Nothing between these two, but they do come with seat belts, and you have direct access to your rear trunk. Underneath the seats are where you have your lithium-ion battery pack. Some of them came with lead acid. This one was an upgraded version that came with lithium-ion, giving it a range of about 50 miles, which is not too bad for a golf cart. Now, let's take the car for a drive, because yes, even though it is a little bit broken, it doesn't have power brakes at the moment, it does drive. First, something that's a little nice feature that you don't find on many of these electric cars is a customized keychain. It says CT&T all over it. I like that. A lot of my cars don't have that. Just like a normal car, you stick the key in, turn it. You hear a little click from under your seat. That's the ignition relay. And you just push it into drive. Let's go. Now, like I said previously, this car is very, very dramatic when driving. The motor is very loud. I hope you guys can hear it in the video, but the motor is so over dramatic. Like I said, no power brakes, but it still stops fine because of how light the car is. Doesn't have power steering, and none of them did come with it. It wasn't an option, but you don't need it. The car is so light, you don't need it, and you barely even notice. Even when you're parked, you can still turn the steering wheel fairly easily. Like I said, the driving position is actually not too bad, but visibility is actually terrible. Top speed is currently limited to 20 miles per hour because of the brake issue, but when that's fixed, and it's a fairly easy fix, this car can go 35 miles per hour. So, which is good enough for most areas around here in the city. I live in Los Angeles, so it's not too bad of a car for me. Like I said, this thing gets about 50 miles of range, which is not too bad. Charge times are about 3 hours, and it just plugs into a normal wall outlet. I'll show that in a moment. I'm going handheld here for a moment, just because I have no better way to show this. This is where your park is. If you notice on the dash, there's no park selector. You put it into neutral, and then you take this rod that flips over, and you push the brake down, and it keeps the brake pushed down. That is your parking. But unfortunately, even though the car is off, with the park on, the brake lights stay on. So I opt to usually just put a wheel chock under it because this will drain the battery. The charge port for the CT&T is just down here. There's a little flap. It uses a golf cart charger, which does come with the car, and it just plugs into a normal house outlet. And that's all there really is to it. It's little more than a glorified golf cart, a highway legal golf cart for some reason. The CT&T EZONE CITY2 from 2010. As I said in the beginning of this video, this car is for sale. You can go check it out on eBay Motors. Link in the description below if you were interested in buying this car. I am located in Los Angeles, California. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please consider subscribing. You can also find my other channel, DeclanKav Live, where I do video games because cars aren't the only thing I do. You can find me on Twitter at DeclanKav and on TikTok at DeclanKav Live. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Go check this car eBay Motors. And I will see you all in the next one. Bye.
Alive, let's hit the dance floor. Don't work too hard, my break a backbone. Return to the Mac, the king is back though. Corvette and cash, I never lack those. She saw the stone, you know how that go. Fatality, my diamonds that cold. Versace trunks, I hit my backstroke. Knock on the door, she at the back, bro. All I really take is a little taste. Island girl, blue eyes with a little bass. Here for the thrill, I don't need a chaser. Wanna vibe at the getaway. Shimmy, shimmy, yeah, I got the semi-4 weight. Don't step out the line like this a probate. You hit the line and try to locate. This for the time, got time for no day. One, too many, I'm going. Too crazy and I got bad ones and they ready. A good time, so now it's in the whip we left at. Can't remember.